So while I was at home on spring break and pretty much unable to upload videos because my upload speed at home is just garbage since my mother and I just moved into a new house, I was thinking of a video idea since tomorrow is the Western Tuesday or whatever the hell they're calling it in the media. Arizona, Utah, and Idaho will be voting on both the Democratic and Republican side. So I was thinking of a video to make since I haven't really made a political video in a little under a week. And I got my idea for today's video from a YouTube comment section. It was on, I believe it was on the Young Turks, one of the Young Turks video. And it was about a guy who essentially called Bernie Sanders a communist, said that people who support Bernie Sanders are just ignorant, uneducated, well, not uneducated, but he said ignorant, lazy youth who, when they get older, are essentially going to be Republicans. And when I read that, like literally as I was reading it, I felt like I was losing brain cells by the second. And the reason for that is because it just shows the lack of knowledge of the average American about what democratic socialism is and what communism is. Now, in 2016, I really don't see a reason why anyone should be this ignorant when anything is literally like a 10-second Google search away. Click the first link, you should find some good information for a lot of things on the internet, for a lot of things you need to know in life in general. But apparently this guy was either a troll or he just lacked the ability to use Google properly, which was weird since he was on YouTube. But assuming he wasn't a troll, because I actually have seen a lot of people who have made the statement saying that Bernie Sanders is a communist. So what I want to do today is provide a short, brief explanation of what democratic socialism is versus what communism is. Now, this is something that could really be done in an entire university class, so I'm not going to go really in detail because there's a lot, obviously, to talk about, but just want to give you guys pretty much a brief summary of the two, so I hope this is informative to you guys. So let's start off with modern day politics in America. So modern day politics in America, and really for the entirety of politics, has been thought of as this line. Now, in modern American politics, on the left, you have the Democratic Party, and on the right, you have the Republican Party. Now, I stress modern American politics since because the Republican Party actually used to be on the left, and the Democratic Party used to be on the right. If you go back like 80 years with presidents like Dwight Eisenhower, Franklin Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln, who were Republicans but were really progressive guys. And then on the Democratic side, you had some more conservative guys who were, president and on the Supreme Court, things like that. But that's neither here nor there. The important thing to note is that there are these two sides. Now, on the left side, there's two extremes. On the left side, the extreme of leftism and progressivism is communism, which was originally thought up as Marxism by Karl Marx, and I can't think of the other guy who co-wrote the Communist Manifesto with him, but it'll come to me after this video. But anyway, on the right, you have fascism, which is extremely uber nationalism and conservatism, like what you saw in Nazi Germany and in fascist Italy under Mussolini. Now, since we're talking about the left for today, I'm going to go into what communism is, and then I'm going to go into what democratic socialism is, and so you guys can make your own comparison of that. So communism is essentially the society in which the state owns everything. Nothing belongs to the individual. Everything the individual produces and does is for the good of the state, not necessarily for the good of that person or that person. Well, in theory, when you work for the state, it helps you, but that's not really how it works in real life practice. But anyway, nothing belongs to that individual, so there's no private enterprise, there's no private ownership of anything. Everything that you own belongs to the state, and everything that you create belongs to the state and goes for the good of the state. Meanwhile, you have democratic socialism, which is probably between the modern day Democratic Party and between regular socialism. Now, there's a difference between that, but I'm not going to go into that for today either. But democratic socialism is not communism. They're not looking for this huge government that controls everything you do and you have no private ownership. That's not what Bernie Sanders is out for. What Bernie Sanders and the rest of the Democratic Socialist movement is about is guaranteeing basic rights for American citizens that really are not that weird when you look at the rest of the world, like Western Europe and other places, even in South America, such as free education and universal health care coverage. Now, obviously, with Obamacare, we got pretty close to that in the United States. I think it's something like 90% of Americans are guaranteed health care under Obamacare and are enrolled in that program. However, there's a downside to that in that it causes these high premiums and things like that. Once again, that's a story for another video. But the basis of it is that democratic socialism is not trying to get rid of private ownership. It's not trying to get rid of free enterprise or capitalism. What it's trying to do is just guarantee that individuals in society are able to be taken care of and able to have a say in what goes on in the political system. So it's essentially just looking out for the good of society, the good of everyone in the society, by ensuring basic needs and basic necessities are met for the individual. So like I said, obviously making sure people can go to school so they can get a good paying job, so they can contribute to the society, and obviously they can keep their own money, they can, create their own businesses, etc. Whereas in communism, you're not going to see that because all of that's going to go to the state, like you see in Cuba and North Korea and China now. But although those are a little different because China's a little different, they've changed over the years. But in theory, that's, communist states. Now, the downfall with communism compared to democratic socialism is communism requires an authoritarian dictator pretty much all the time to have absolute control over the state, like what you see in China. Well, not China, once again, that's a bad example, but they are communists though. But what you see in North Korea, Cuba, what you saw in Russia, what you saw in Burma, places like that, it almost always has to have this authoritarian dictator. Although it's not a prerequisite, it's just normally what happens to guarantee that these things work. Meanwhile, in democratic socialism, hence the name democratic, obviously it's a democratic process of electing a leader through popular vote, etc. So, in conclusion, democratic socialism differs from communism in that it does not prohibit free enterprise, it does not prohibit private ownership, private anything. You're able to be your own person. The thing is that democratic socialism just looks out for the good of society and enabling them to receive certain benefits and rights that really are common sense if you think about it. So, once again, I didn't go super in depth because I could have went on and talked for like 30 minutes on this subject. I highly suggest you guys do look up more information. If you are left with some questions after this video, I will be posting some links to some articles in the description that you guys can check out for your own good. And please drop a like if you did enjoy this video, and be sure to subscribe so you can check out my video tomorrow night in which I'll be breaking down the results of Western Tuesday. So I'll see you guys on my next video.